Los Angeles has been broken for a while, but now it's also broke. As Anthony Cabassa showed us, the ICE riots were not only destructive, but incredibly expensive to respond to, accomplishing absolutely nothing to stop these federal raids all across the county. As the Trump administration openly states, it only caused them to double down.
On to LA Mayor Karen Bass demanding that ICE operations completely stop here in Los Angeles. Vance laughed and said there is a 0% chance that is going to happen. He says the more riots, the more protests, the more activists and politicians that interfere, they're going to double down on their operations at the federal level.
Now, it would be one thing if all this did was waste the EBT tribe's time, and possibly whoever was mysteriously funding these riots. But no, this is going to domino into the collapse of Los Angeles. As of yesterday, LA just declared a fiscal emergency, which is already on top of how back in April, they proposed laying off 1,600 employees, with 400 of them being from the LAPD, asking for a $2 billion bailout from the state. Well, let's be clear. 1 month after that request, California announced a $12 billion deficit, citing Trump's tariffs, so I somehow doubt Bass is gonna get that bailout. But after those proposed cuts, the anti-ICE protests and rallies cost the city an additional $32 million, causing them to need 248 police non-sworn personnel layoffs and cutting 41 actual firefighters. Even though they're only getting rid of citizen employees of the police department, keep in mind, during those wildfires that recently hit Los Angeles, a lot of their fire trucks weren't in service as they just laid off the civilian employees responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of those vehicles. As Los Angeles continues to decimate their ability to enforce a law, citing finances. Which is awfully interesting, as the LA Times just reported 2 days before that the city council approved a $250,000 for the city attorney to bring in an outside legal team to respond to the Trump administration, ending their article with, "They have been willing to detain and deport people that are here legally." I don't think I've seen a single instance of this, and let me know if you have in the comment section, but it just seems to be more of this fear-mongering that only reinforces the idea that local residents need to protest the feds, which will only dig them deeper into debt, forcing them to lay off more police officers to keep the citizens safe, with seemingly unlimited amounts for attorneys to keep themselves safe. And again, who does a city expect to pick up the check? You, the average citizen. As Mayor Bass did a press event cleaning up some graffiti in her $100 Nike Dunks. But then the residents were upset to receive an email asking them to give up their Saturday to volunteer to clean up the city after they let the rioters destroy it. As even after the riots ended, they're still vandalizing their own community to fight ICE. It's insane that none of this is actually effective in pushing out the feds. The city has just taken this bizarre position of defending the destruction under the assumption that the regular citizens will pay the tab, as the most outrageous aspect of this broke city is a rent freeze for immigrants.
Labor unions are joining forces today demanding action to protect Angelenos against immigration raids. The local SEIU 721 labor union, along with CLU and the tenants union, are asking the LA City Council to pass an emergency protection to help families who may face eviction due to the immigration raids. The unions say many families may not be able to cover rent due to a family member who may have been taken by ICE, or who have family who may not be able to leave their homes due to fear of kidnapping. The groups claim Latinos make up majority of renters in the city of LA.
Nowadays, I mean, you don't know who's a cop, who's an ICE agent, now who's a bounty hunter, and now I can be dressed as a cop.
Exactly.
And just go kidnap people.
No matter what you're legal.
And as someone that lived in LA during the lockdowns, I despise this, as at the time I was furloughed from my job, where basically I had the option to not pay rent and not get evicted until I got my job back. But even though I struggled, I still paid it just to not have a huge payment at the end, not knowing the city would essentially forgive the rent debt and settle with the landlords, meaning I just wasted over $10,000 from my own bank account and countless more as the city's funds would go to paying off my neighbor's rent. Now I have since left the city, and good riddance as they're about to do the same thing again, digging themselves deeper into debt, on top of the new debt they just requested.
City Council authorized a $5 million loan to help pay overtime for LAPD officers working around the clock during recent ICE protests in downtown LA. Officials say the city of Los Angeles has already spent $19.7 million in response to the protests, with nearly $12 million of that money paying for overtime for the officers.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought those LA coppers don't actually get paid overtime. They just bank those extra work hours as vacation time to be used at a later date. So I don't really know what this extra $5 million is for, other than covering the shortcomings they already couldn't afford. And it's only getting worse from here.
This is video from 9th and Spring this morning, and it sure looks to the layman that those LAPD officers on scene are at least helping the operation as those federal agents took people into custody. The LAPD has just come out with a statement saying that is not true. They were simply there on a call of a kidnapping, and once they realized that was not taking place, they were there for crowd control. A lot of these people say are in this group are calling these kidnappings and not people being taken into custody by these federal agents.
Which I believe stems from local Reddit posts, where I've seen countless replies with thousands of upvotes suggesting this exact tactic, as this should be considered the same as filing a false police report, as they know what they're witnessing, but are just feigning stupidity in order to waste police resources, with the real losers being any law-abiding taxpayers that actually need the police, but get stuck with 1-hour hold times with 6-hour response times. And where are the sheriffs during all of this? Well, after Trump sent those B-2s into Iran, the official LA County Sheriff's account posted, "Their hearts go out to the victims and families impacted in Iran," which is essentially an American sheriff sending condolences to Iranian nuclear facilities. It doesn't get more Los Angeles than that. Now, they did try to quietly edit out their condolences in that post, but eventually had to delete it due to the backlash, later posting an apology stating they fell short of expectations. Los Angeles County is officially cooked, as nothing in this entire video seems to show the city actually cares about their law-abiding, tax-paying, regular citizens that keep the city running. It's all about coddling criminals, virtue signaling, and deficit spending. And that comes from the top, as when the rioters were burning the city, apparently Governor Newsom was too busy sipping wine. But when Vice President J.D. Vance stopped by to check in on the Marines saving the city, out of nowhere, Newsom now wants to come through for a debate. Parts of his state are on fire, with the rest of it going bankrupt, but the only thing that gets him out there is performative nonsense for his presidential campaign and his podcast. So if you appreciate my concise, bite-order commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, subscribe to Decoy Voice.